What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I finally got around to seeing Talk to Me. I missed out on it last week, but I'm here to talk about it. It is directed by the Philippou brothers, who directed 2022's or 23's, if you're from the United States, Talk to Me, a horror movie that I really dug and really loved. Following the death of their father, a brother and sister are introduced to their new sibling by their foster mother, only to learn that she has a terrifying secret. I was really looking forward to bring her back. Everyone was hyping this up to be the next big thing in horror. Everybody was talking about how it was so gross and bloody and had all these gross out gags that'll make you scream and it's really scary. And I think that my biggest takeaway and biggest negative from the movie, and the only negative from the movie that I have, is that it's overhyped a little bit, but it is still a damn fantastic movie because it is nowhere near as scary or as gross as people were making it out to be. For instance, since I didn't see this last week, I told my group of friends that I was thinking of going to see this at the Alamo Drafthouse. If you don't know what the Alamo Drafthouse is, it's a movie theater, but also a restaurant. So you can get like chicken wings, you can get burgers, you can get pizza, you can drink some beers, a bunch of other alcoholic drinks. It's like a full-blown restaurant while you watch a movie. And I asked them, I'm like, okay, so how gross is Bring Her Back? Will I want to puke up my food? Will I get a little bit squeamish? And I was told, don't watch it while you eat. And honestly, you can watch it while you eat. Of course, there's a couple of gross out gags, but that was a bit of a disappointment that it wasn't as gross as I was expecting it to be. I was really expecting to just close my eyes in some scenes. And this is honestly, then there are some gross out gags, but it's honestly stuff that I can handle. It's not like in a violent nature where it's mutilation for the sake of mutilation and it just feels wrong and to look at. It's not that, but the rest of the movie is so goddamn fantastic. The Philippou brothers are so good at crafting atmosphere that even when the movie isn't scary and isn't grossing you out with some of its gross out gags, you just feel so unsettled and disturbed by everything that is happening in this movie. A big part of that is Sally Hawkins, this deranged stepmother. Holy shit. Let her play batshit psycho stepmother more often because she is so goddamn good at it. She's so good at making it feel like that this presence, this stepmother presence, is going to be so calm, but you just know from the moment that she is on screen that something is off about her. And that's due to the brilliant direction from the Philippou brothers. With any scene she's in, she's surrounded by things where you're just like, that looks very off. And then her performance just screams psycho, mad lady murderer. And you're like, see, I was right. There's a lot of haunting visuals in this movie, as well as the movie tackles themes like grief. Of course, grief in recent horror movies has been explored, but I feel like this movie explores themes like grief and depression to different degrees and to fresher perspectives than a couple of other horror movies have in the previous few years. Because I feel like even when these horror movies do a good job at expressing things like that, it does feel very rinse and repeat. It feels very repetitive. It doesn't feel like they're saying anything all that new. It doesn't feel like they're digging below the surface. They're there thematically to give the movie more depth, and that's why we give it a pass. But here, the feeling of grief is expanded upon in fresher, new ways that I wasn't expecting. And I'm not going to really spoil those because you have to go see the movie to experience that. I don't think this is as good as Talk to Me. The Philippou brothers, though, just know how to make a horror movie now. If they want to branch out and do something else other than horror, be my guest, but I think that this is going to be their expertise. The story here never feels like it is taking anything for granted. It follows its own rules. Sometimes these movies, especially in franchise movies, they set up these rules in the first few movies, and then later on, they just break those rules where it's like, well, I feel like that's breaking the universe. For instance, The Rise of Skywalker. I know, by me saying I like it, I'm going to get crucified, but definitely the weakest of the sequel trilogy. I still find enjoyment in it, But I can admit that there are some things like light speed skipping where I'm like, that just breaks the Star Wars universe. You can't do that. And it feels like it's breaking the ground rules that the series set up. And most horror films tend to do that once they get to maybe like number 4, number 5, maybe even number 6. But this movie sets up some ground rules, some guidelines that it has to follow, and it never dissuades itself from that. It never falls off the beaten path. It always makes sure that those rules are stuck to, that they are followed, and that they never ever deviate from those rules. And I got to give them a lot of credit for that. I think Bring Her Back is a really good movie with a full bucket of popcorn. I'm not going to say I enjoyed this movie because that's just weird when you're watching some gross out gags. I mean, I was expecting Evil Dead, like the last 2 Evil Dead levels of gross out gags, and even that, like, that shit was gross, but even then I was just like, oh, I can at least handle that. But maybe like in a violent nature. That's what I was expecting, I guess. That's probably the better analogy, like mutilation for the sake of mutilation's sake, as I've already stated. And it's not that. I think that's a big reason I walked away really liking this. It's just not as scary or gross as everybody's making it out to be, but it's still a damn good horror movie. And if you have seen it, let me know what you think of it in the comments below. I will leave my link to my website in the description below as well. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I will see you at the movies somewhere.